They thought he was just an old trainer. Same worn boxing gloves hanging on the wall. Same encouraging words for struggling fighters. Young boxers saw a patient coach who taught basic combinations in footwork. Until one night outside the gym, when 5 gang members cornered his student and Eddie Thompson did something impossible. Fighting techniques that belonged in professional MMA competitions, combinations that should have required decades of elite training. The quiet man who taught jabs and hooks had once been Thunder Thompson, underground MMA legend, who had never lost a fight in 12 years of professional competition. Welcome to Silent Hero Stories. Before we start this incredible story, tell me in the comments what city you are watching from today. If you believe legends can be found in the most unexpected places, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. Eddie Thompson unlocked the doors of Southside Boxing Gym every morning at 5 a.m. Rough neighborhood in Detroit. Same routine for the past 8 years. Same quiet dedication to keeping kids off the streets. Eddie was 58 years old. Stocky build with broad shoulders that suggested years of physical training. Gray hair cut short and practical. Weathered face with kind but serious brown eyes. His hands were scarred and calloused, the hands of someone who had thrown thousands of punches. He wore simple workout clothes and old boxing shoes that had seen better days. Southside Boxing Gym wasn't fancy. Cracked mirrors, patched heavy bags, ring with torn canvas, but it was clean, organized, and safe. Eddie had taken over the gym when the previous owner couldn't pay rent. Nobody knew where he got the money, but suddenly the gym had new equipment and could stay open. Morning Coach Eddie, ready to work today? Always ready, Marcus. You bring your mouthpiece? Yes, sir. And my homework's done too. Good man. Education first, boxing second. The neighborhood kids trusted Eddie completely. He never judged them for their backgrounds, never gave up on them when they struggled. But he had rules. No fighting outside the gym. Keep grades up. Show respect. Coach, why do you care so much about our schoolwork? Because boxing won't last forever. Your brain will. But you're still boxing. I'm teaching boxing. Different thing entirely. But Eddie had unusual qualities for a neighborhood boxing coach. His technical knowledge was encyclopedic. He understood fighting theory, biomechanics, strategy in ways that seemed beyond amateur coaching. His demonstrations were flawless. When he showed combinations, his movements were fluid, precise, professional. His footwork was too advanced, his timing too perfect for someone who claimed to be just a coach. Coach Eddie, you move like a professional fighter. Experience helps. Practice the combination I showed you. But where did you get that experience? Different places, different times. Eddie's teaching methods were sophisticated. He didn't just teach punches, he taught distance management, timing, psychological warfare. His students improved faster than kids training at expensive gyms. Eddie, how do you know so much about fighting strategy? Good fighting is smart fighting. You use your head before you use your hands. But you know techniques I've never seen before. There are many ways to fight. I teach what works. Most mysteriously, Eddie seemed to understand different fighting styles beyond boxing. When students asked about kicks, grappling, ground fighting, Eddie knew the answers too well. Coach, can you teach us some wrestling moves? Boxing gym teaches boxing, but you know wrestling. I know many things. Doesn't mean I teach them all. The gym had photos on the walls, old boxing matches, neighborhood champions, local heroes, but there were no photos of Eddie fighting, no trophies with his name, no record of his competitive history. Coach Eddie, were you ever a professional boxer? I've been around fighting my whole life. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you need. Tuesday evening, Marcus Washington was working the heavy bag when Eddie approached with corrections. Marcus was 19, talented but raw, trying to stay out of trouble through boxing. Marcus, you're dropping your right hand after the hook. I don't feel like I am. Feelings lie. Habits tell the truth. Watch. Eddie demonstrated the combination with movements so smooth and powerful that Marcus stopped punching to stare. Coach, you hit like a heavyweight. I hit like someone who knows how to hit. But that power, that technique. Technique generates power. Power doesn't generate technique. As weeks passed, Marcus realized Eddie's knowledge went far beyond basic boxing. He understood ranges, angles, timing that seemed professional level. Coach Eddie, how do you know about clinch work? Clinch work is part of fighting, but that's not boxing. Good fighting uses everything that works. Eddie taught Marcus concepts that weren't in amateur boxing manuals. Distance management for multiple opponents, how to fight taller fighters, psychological intimidation techniques. Coach, these strategies seem really advanced. Fighting is fighting. Street, ring, doesn't matter. You sound like you've done both. I've seen enough to know what works. Marcus noticed Eddie's physical condition was exceptional for 58. His reflexes were sharp, his movement fluid. When he demonstrated techniques, he moved like someone half his age. Coach Eddie, you're in incredible shape. Staying fit is part of the job. But you move like an active fighter. Good habits don't disappear. Most intriguingly, Eddie sometimes used terminology that seemed beyond boxing. He talked about ground control, submission defense, and cage positioning in ways that suggested personal experience. Coach, what's cage positioning? Different kind of fighting. Don't worry about it. What kind of fighting? The kind you don't need to learn. Eddie also had strange reactions to certain fighting videos. When Marcus showed him MMA highlights, Eddie's commentary was too detailed, too personal. That fighter's making a mistake. His guard is too low for the clinch. How do you know that? Experience watching fights. You watch a lot of MMA? I watch it enough, but Eddie's knowledge went beyond observation. He understood submission holds, ground fighting, striking combinations that belonged in professional mixed martial arts. Coach Eddie, can you show me that takedown defense? This is a boxing gym. But you know how to do it. Knowing and teaching are different things. Over the following months, Marcus observed more unusual aspects of Eddie's knowledge and behavior. His expertise extended far beyond neighborhood boxing coaching. When new students asked about self-defense, Eddie's instruction was sophisticated. He taught not just punching, but situational awareness, escape routes, de-escalation techniques. Coach, where did you learn about tactical awareness? Common sense. Pay attention to your surroundings. But this is like professional security training. Smart thinking keeps you safe. Marcus also noticed Eddie's physical training routine. He arrived early every morning for personal workouts that looked more like professional fighter conditioning than gym maintenance. Coach Eddie, your training looks really intense. Staying sharp is important, but that looks like fight camp training. Good training is good training. The most revealing incidents occurred when Eddie demonstrated advanced techniques. His ground fighting knowledge was extensive. His submission defense was flawless. His striking combinations included kicks and elbows. Coach, how do you know Muay Thai clinch work? Different martial arts have different strengths, but you know it like you've trained it professionally. I've trained many things over the years. Marcus started researching MMA history online. He discovered that some of Eddie's techniques were used by legendary fighters, championship-level competitors, underground circuit heroes. Coach Eddie, I looked up some of the moves you showed me. Good. Research helps understanding. They're used by professional MMA fighters. Effective techniques get used by people who need them. The most mysterious aspect of Eddie's knowledge was his understanding of fight psychology and strategy. When discussing opponents, he used concepts that belonged in professional coaching manuals. Coach, how do you know so much about reading fighters? Watching body language, breathing patterns, movement tells you everything. That's really advanced fight analysis. Fighting is psychology as much as physicality. Eddie also had unusual reactions to certain fighting discussions. When Marcus mentioned local tough guys or street fighters, Eddie's responses suggested personal knowledge of the underground fighting scene. Coach, you know about the underground fights? I know they exist. Have you ever seen them? I've seen enough fighting for one lifetime. One afternoon, Marcus brought a magazine article about legendary MMA fighters to show Eddie. His reaction was subtle but telling. Recognition in his eyes, then careful neutrality. Coach Eddie, ever heard of Thunder Thompson? Eddie paused in wrapping hand wraps. Why do you ask? This article says he was undefeated for 12 years, then just disappeared. Fighters retire, sometimes quietly. But he was a legend. Why disappear? Maybe he found something better than fighting. Friday night, 9:30 p.m. The gym was closing when Marcus realized he'd forgotten his backpack. Eddie let him back in to retrieve it. As they walked to Marcus's car, 5 gang members approached from across the street. Marcus recognized them, local dealers who'd been trying to recruit neighborhood kids. Yo, Jim boy, you think you tough now? The leader, a man called Snake, had been angry ever since Eddie started keeping kids away from drug corners through boxing training. We got no problem with you, Marcus said, trying to de-escalate. Problem ain't with you, problem's with your old coach here. Snake stepped closer to Eddie. "You've been stealing our business, old man." "I don't know what you're talking about," Eddie replied calmly. "Kids used to work for us. Now they hitting bags instead of corners." 3 more gang members flanked them while Snake continued talking. "Time to shut down your little gym, Grandpa." "That's not going to happen," Eddie said quietly. "You gonna stop us? You and what army?" Snake pushed Eddie hard in the chest. Eddie barely moved, just absorbed the push with perfect balance. "Walk away," Eddie said. "This doesn't have to happen." "Oh, this definitely gonna happen." That's when Snake pulled a knife, and the other 4 moved to surround them. Eddie's demeanor changed instantly. His posture shifted, his eyes hardened, his stance became balanced and ready. Marcus had never seen Eddie look like this. "Marcus, get behind me and stay low." "Coach, do it now." Snake lunged with the knife. What happened next seemed impossible for a 58-year-old boxing coach. Eddie moved with speed and precision that defied his age and claimed profession. He avoided Snake's knife attack with footwork that belonged in professional fighting competitions. His counterattack was swift and devastating. Eddie trapped Snake's knife arm, threw an elbow that dropped him instantly, then transitioned to face the other 4 attackers. Marcus watched in amazement as Eddie demonstrated fighting skills that went far beyond boxing. Kicks, takedowns, submission holds, striking combinations that suggested years of elite mixed martial arts training. "Coach, how are you doing this?" "Stay back, Marcus." The second attacker rushed Eddie with a baseball bat. Eddie caught the bat, used it to lever his opponent to the ground, then immediately engaged the third attacker with grappling techniques that were textbook perfect. The 4th and 5th attackers came simultaneously. Eddie fought them both using combinations of striking and grappling that Marcus had only seen in professional MMA competitions. Within 90 seconds, all 5 attackers were on the ground, subdued but not seriously injured. Eddie stood over them, breathing steadily, completely in control. "You okay, Marcus?" "Coach, what just happened?" "We defended ourselves." Eddie turned to the gang members. "You're going to leave, you're not coming back, and you're going to forget this happened." Snake struggled to his feet, blood running from his nose. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone you don't want to meet again." The gang members helped each other up and disappeared into the night, leaving Eddie and Marcus alone in the parking lot. "Coach Eddie, that wasn't boxing." "No, it wasn't." "What was it?" "Different kind of training." Marcus stared at Eddie with new understanding. "You're not just a boxing coach." "No, Marcus, I'm not." "Who are you really?" Eddie was quiet for a long moment, then made a decision. Someone who used to fight professionally, someone who walked away from that life. "What kind of professional fighting?" "The kind where losing meant more than just points on a scorecard." That weekend, Marcus couldn't stop thinking about Eddie's fighting performance. Those techniques were beyond amateur training. His movements suggested elite professional experience. Monday evening, Marcus stayed after training to confront Eddie directly. "Coach, we need to talk about Friday night." "What about it?" "About who you really are." Eddie continued cleaning equipment, but Marcus could see he was thinking. "Marcus, what do you think you know?" "I think you were a professional fighter. I think you were really good, and I think you've been hiding it." Eddie set down the equipment, looked at Marcus seriously. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. The truth." Eddie was quiet for a long moment, then sat on the ring apron. "Edward Thunder Thompson, professional mixed martial arts fighter. 12 years, never lost a fight. Never lost. 32 wins, 0 losses. Underground circuit, then professional competitions." Marcus's eyes widened. "You're Thunder Thompson, the legend?" "I was. Long time ago. But you just disappeared. Why?" Eddie explained his background. "Started fighting as a teenager to survive on the streets. Natural talent led to underground competitions, then professional MMA before it became mainstream." "Marcus, I fought when MMA was different. Fewer rules, more danger. I was good at it, but it was destroying me." "What do you mean?" "Fighting for money, for reputation, for survival. That changes you, makes you hard, makes you forget why you started." "How many fights total? Underground and professional combined?" "Over 50. Some I can't talk about." "Why not?" "Because some fights weren't officially sanctioned. Some were about more than sport." Eddie described competitions that existed in gray areas of legality. Fights for serious money, fights that settled disputes, fights where losing meant more than just defeat. "Marcus, I was the best fighter nobody knew about. I made good money, had a reputation, but I was empty inside. What changed? I realized I was using my skills to hurt people instead of helping them. So you retired? I walked away, took my winnings, bought this gym, started teaching kids how to defend themselves instead of how to hurt others. Coach, why don't you tell people you're a legend? Because legends belong in the past. I'm more useful as a teacher than as a memory. Eddie explained his philosophy. Fighting had taught him discipline, strategy, mental toughness, but those lessons were more valuable when used to build people up rather than tear them down. Marcus, everything I learned in professional fighting, timing, distance, reading opponents, staying calm under pressure, those skills helped me teach you. But you could still compete. I could. But I found something better than winning fights. What's that? Winning lives. Despite Eddie's preference for privacy, word began spreading through the neighborhood. The boxing coach was Thunder Thompson, an undefeated MMA legend who had walked away from fame to teach kids. Marcus's family was the first to learn. When he told them about Eddie's background, they were amazed but not surprised. That explains why he's so good at teaching technique, and why he seems to understand every fighting style. Marcus, you're learning from a master. The gym's reputation grew as other fighters learned about Eddie's background. Professional trainers started visiting to observe his methods. Coach Thompson, would you consider training professional fighters again? I train fighters to be better people. That's professional enough. But your knowledge could help championship-level athletes. My knowledge helps neighborhood kids stay alive. That's more important. Local MMA gyms requested seminars with Eddie. His reputation for advanced technique instruction was spreading among serious fighters. Coach, these guys want to pay serious money for private lessons. Money isn't why I teach, but you could help professional athletes. I help the athletes who need me most. Eddie began offering advanced self-defense classes, but he focused on protection rather than aggression. His approach was unique. He taught people to end conflicts quickly and safely. Coach Thompson, you teach fighting differently than other instructors. How so? You teach like fighting is the last resort, not the first option. Fighting should solve problems, not create them. Marcus continued training with newfound appreciation for Eddie's expertise. His skills improved dramatically under guidance from a legitimate legend. Coach, I won my first amateur fight. Congratulations. You worked hard. I couldn't have done it without learning from a champion. You won because you prepared properly. The teacher doesn't fight the fight. Other neighborhood kids began seeking Eddie's guidance, not just for boxing, but for life advice. He became a mentor figure who understood their struggles. Coach Eddie, how do you stay calm when people try to provoke you? Because fighting angry means fighting stupid. Clear thinking wins conflicts. What if someone disrespects you? Respect isn't something you fight for, it's something you earn. Eddie started teaching conflict resolution alongside physical training. His sessions were different from standard martial arts programs, more philosophical, more focused on character development. Coach, why do you teach us about discipline instead of just fighting? Because discipline prevents more fights than fighting wins. Young fighters from other gyms began asking to train with Eddie. His reputation as both a technical master and character developer was growing throughout the city. Mr. Thompson, our son needs guidance, not just training. Fighting skills without character development is just violence with technique. That's exactly what he needs to learn. Eddie's influence extended beyond the gym to the entire neighborhood. Crime decreased as more kids chose boxing over street life. Eddie, the whole area is safer because of your gym. The area is safer because kids have better options. But you created those options. The kids created them. I just provided the space. Eddie's routine didn't change after his background became known. Same 5 a.m. opening, same patient instruction, same dedication to keeping kids safe through boxing. But people understood him differently now. When Eddie taught technique, students listened more carefully. When he gave life advice, parents paid attention. Coach, does knowing about your championship past change how you teach? No. The mission is the same. Help people become better versions of themselves. But now people know you're a master. Being a master means serving others, not being served by them. Marcus completed his amateur boxing goals, but continued training with Eddie. The gym had become more than a boxing facility. It was a community center. Coach Thompson, what's your proudest achievement? Every kid who chooses this gym over the street. What about your undefeated record? Records are history. These kids are the future. Eddie started collaborating with local schools, teaching conflict resolution and self-defense. His reputation attracted attention from youth organizations throughout the region. "Mr. Thompson, would you consider expanding your program? This gym serves this neighborhood. That's enough, but you could help more kids. I help the kids who walk through that door, quality over quantity." The gym became a model for community boxing programs. Social workers, educators, and youth advocates visited to study Eddie's methods. "Coach Thompson, what makes your program so effective?" "We don't just teach fighting, we teach thinking." "What's the difference?" "Thinking prevents the fights you don't need. Fighting ends the fights you can't avoid." One evening, a group of former students visited Eddie. Now adults with careers and families, they credited the gym with changing their lives. "Coach Eddie, you saved us from the streets. You saved yourselves. I just gave you tools. But without this place, without your guidance, you would have found another way." Good people find good paths. A local TV station wanted to do a feature story about Thunder Thompson's second career. Eddie declined the interview. "Why don't you want recognition for your work? Recognition changes the work. The work shouldn't need recognition. But your story could inspire people. The kids I teach inspire people. I just create the conditions." That night, as Eddie locked up the gym, Marcus helped him with the equipment. "Coach, any regrets about retiring from professional fighting?" "None. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Why?" "Because fighting taught me how to win. Teaching shows me why winning matters." "What does winning matter for?" "Giving other people the chance to discover their own strength." Eddie looked around the gym where he'd spent 8 years building a community through boxing. "Marcus, as Thunder Thompson I won fights. As Coach Eddie, I win futures. What's the difference? Fights end. Futures continue." That night, Eddie completed his final equipment check. Tomorrow would bring new students, new challenges, new opportunities to transform lives through discipline and training. Thunder Thompson had found his final championship. Not in a cage or ring, but in a neighborhood gym in Detroit. Not fighting for personal glory, but fighting for community transformation. Same warrior spirit, same competitive excellence, same commitment to victory. Different battlefield, same champion, eternal purpose. Now I ask you, have you ever met someone whose greatest victories were invisible? Someone who used elite skills, not for personal glory, but to lift others up. Someone who understood that true champions create other champions. Share their name in the comments. Tell us how they changed lives. At Silent Heroes Stories, we believe the most powerful fighters often battle for others' futures, not seeking fame, but ensuring that strength serves purpose, that skill serves community. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it. These quiet champions deserve recognition for choosing mentorship over medals, character over championships. See you in the next story. And remember, that coach who pushes you harder than seems necessary, that trainer who cares more about your character than your technique, that mentor who sees potential you don't know you have, might just be the champion who traded personal glory for the greater victory of making others strong. Because true champions don't retire from fighting, they just find more important battles to win.